is a book titled Man, the Grand Symbol. And if you get a copy of it, I got some feedback here, my brother. Get a copy, you know it's not a beginner's book. So it's, my first recommendation is be sure that you've read the Kybalion before you go to that particular book. A digestion of universal law makes the abstract inner self make sense. Without understanding universal law, you're just reading interesting information. This is applicable knowledge, knowledge that you do something with, not carry it around in your head like you do your wallet in your back pocket. It's supposed to work for you, huh?
Can you say the name of that book again?
Man, the Grand Symbol of the Mysteries. I think got 2 copies over there. I can't get Lucinda to order 12 copies of nothing. He's a 6-copy man. But we'll get there. This is class 5, I think. And the topic is the same: identity, self-knowledge, and self-revelation, the 3 missing keys of our culture. And as we understand that is the 3 missing keys of human culture, inasmuch as we know historically, anthropologically, biochemically, our ancestors are the blueprint of what woman and man are. And all else proceed from that blueprint, being 12 people, 12 blueprints, 12 human beings on planet Earth. That's all there are. If you're interested in that subject, we have some videotapes on that. The concept man we've looked at already as master, able, and noble. Now we're going to talk about the meaning of master, able, and noble. That does not mean male man. That means man, womb man, the first man, woman, and the male man, the second man. Okay. That's the order of things. And Moorish science deals with the order of things, so that human life, divine life, makes sense, because nature always makes sense. Master. What we're trying to master in the first stages of our humanity are the 12 glands that become either the prisoners of our consciousness or the gates to our freedom. The problem of mastery is the problem of understanding the elements as a human being of which we have to deal with Monday through Sunday that are not going to go away. The first of those elements, as you see there are only 4, is fire. And the fire we're talking about is the fire in the blood. And the fire in your blood can kill you deader than a doornail by attacking your heart, by attacking your arteries, your vessels, your capillaries, your lymphatic system. With the rage of losing one's temper, one's temperature, one's fire can destroy your body. And it's important for Leos to know that their emotional drive centers from the heart. They think from the heart. Anger for them will leave them with the left arm limp and the right foot dragging. They'll give themselves strokes. Probably if they did statistics on that, they would discover that peculiarity, that the people that are having cerebral strokes have a strong Leo inclination in their charts, but this culture doesn't deal with medical astrology except a few, and they ain't telling. So control of one's temper allows one to balance one's energy, therefore direct one's power. You can't do anything without fire. Yeah? So it's important to understand our relationship to the 4 elements of the earth. And remember, the earth is your physical body. When you master it, you are then Lord of the earth. When you master your heart, and the elements of your heart, you're then Lord of what? No. When you master your heart, I said. Look at this word here. No, you're master of Lord of the heart. That's what makes you God, not the brain. The brain can make you a demon. There's some smart devils out there, some wise devils. But there are no devils out there with love in their heart and wisdom in their mind. So the mastery of the heart is what gives you access to the idea and the pool of liberation. The law of attraction is love in action, drawing you back towards the center. Why love is so important, and we see it's not going on down here on planet Earth. You see? You can't put love and get love out of a computer, but you get knowledge and wisdom out of there. What's going to solve our problem as human beings in the community, the collective, the family, and the couplets, man and woman, husband and wife, is love, real love. Not real passion, real love, power. So when the drunken fool kicks his wife's door in and feel like jumping on her because he done lost his money, some other woman done lied to him and he raised his hand and she put hers up, she stops his whole body. That's what love will do. Will stop abuse. Will stop violence. Will change consciousness. It's real power. The human woman experiences the emotions of love, and it gets her in trouble. It'll make her a loving masochist. Well, what they're saying is some women are addicted to love. That's not love they are addicted to. That's passion they're addicted to. The other element is water. Your chemistry, all of it is water, including your blood. The chemistry that the secreting glands make. All 12 of these major glands are secretive glands. We have 7 ductless glands in the vertebrae that do not secrete a fluid. We're going to talk about those. But in terms of the general makeup of you, human being, you have 12 entrees of 12 different kinds of chemistry that keeps you hungry, craving, unfulfilled, unsatisfied. We have to deal with that every day. That's what gets your butt up out of the bed and gets you on that man's job Monday through Friday. So you can eat, so you can drink, smoke, pay rent, buy clothes, okay? That's what's driving you out there. Okay? We're going to get to the other factor in a minute here. But you're to master your glands. And the key here is very much a part of this whole idea here. Let me give you the scripture here. I didn't write it down, did I? I'm really great. I'm going to say this because I'm really grateful to this one brother who just happened by my place today. Otherwise, I'd be sitting at home. I thought today was Thursday. This brother came in and woke me up, and I really appreciate it very much. So, I think it's Revelations chapter 3. Let me check here. Yeah, verse Revelations 2:9. I know your tribulations and your poverty, but you are rich, and the blasphemy by those who say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Okay. The religious, the black man who becomes a Jew will go out and point his finger at the European American who says he's a Jew. You ain't no Jew. You. And then it ain't got nothing to do with that, okay? We'll find out about that. But this is the concept that's important because we're talking about these are glands. These are the ones that say that they are Jews and are not. The 12 major glands in the human body. They have you digging in the earth for your survival. When you add this, then you understand what Jew means. When your glands reach this awakened, vibrant, spiritual state, shining like jewels, then you are a Jew. The 12 glands in the body are the 12 mineral stones, precious stones mentioned in the book of Revelation. Those are the real Jews. Okay. Other than that, you are a victim of your own chemistry. And who can prove that to you but the sister? All she got to do is walk up to you and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You almost drown on your own chemistry. Okay, just by speaking. She has that power. The sexual world is her domain. We'll eventually get to that. But I wanted to clear up those 2 points there. These waters is essentially what we are composed of. We are virtually 86 point something water, liquid. And some of those liquids crystallize and make bones. Some of them compact and make organs, make teeth when they crystallize, you see? And some of them remain a flowing fluid. Okay? We are on a water planet. 3/4 of this planet is covered by water. We live on 1/3 of the land mass on planet Earth. That's what the majority of 8 million people live on. Of course, there are a few who actually live on the water. They build their houses on water. But we don't have access to the whole planet for living and resource purposes until we dig into the oceans, the seas, and other water-covered landmass. The earth, the other element, the muscles, the brain, the bones, the organs, is your earth elements that you must control. Insults, anyone that can pick at your ego and make you slap them, hit them, shoot them, is your master. It doesn't matter if the master is that big and has only a 4-letter or 4-word vocabulary. That little child becomes your master if he or she can force you to lose your temper. And children do that to their mothers. They know how to push their buttons. You know? Particularly when mama says no and the baby wants some candy, she knows how to go into all on the floor and all, get up off that thing, you know, raging mama, you know. And the human being she's raging at ain't as tall as the kitchen table. So you must learn to control your muscles, your brain, your organs. Because if you don't, you will poison yourself. Because when you scream and rage and shout, you draw up adrenaline. That's fighting stuff, running stuff, action stuff. And if you don't have control of it, you lose the prefrontal and it goes in to sanity. You would be amazed how often the average human being goes in and out of sanity just to function. See? Lust will drive you into sanity. Anger will drive you into sanity. Fear will drive you into sanity. One of the most important examples of that was 8 nurses in Chicago in the 60s when this one human creature came into these nurses' dormitory and killed 8 women on the same floor. Now, how is that possible? For one man to kill 8 people on the same floor, door to door to door like a salesman, because they had no control over their elements. They were wrought with fear. And fear will lock your brain and nervous system up faster than a straitjacket. And he was able to kill 8 of them. Very unfortunate. That's why we're going to deal with the 12 great fears.
How did he kill them?
With a knife. One at a time.
Did he provoke them some way? Or?
I don't remember the details. The phenomena is that when you're sensitized to human and spiritual life, you can feel danger. And it doesn't frighten you, you feel it. That's your intuitive ability as a human being. Something's wrong. You can feel it. You see? And they couldn't sense someone dying on the same level, in the same immediate vicinity of their own soul nature. Yeah. Now the accusation is that the European is calcified, and her pineal gland is calcified. Now that may be true, I don't know. That's a black accusation. Dr. Richard King made that statement. Of course, he didn't tell the black man that his heart is calcified, why he can't love or is not loving. I don't know which one is the more dangerous, but anyway, that certainly would turn off the alarm bells. Without the sensitivity of your nature, you're a victim. Why it is important to know who you are and what you are and where you are. You are required by your nature to master your nature. You're required by it. And what you see in the tragic deaths of human beings tells you that should not have happened. See, no one should be able to grab you, stuff you in their car, drive you 50 miles and cut your throat. Nobody. Including Mike Tyson shouldn't be able to do that to you. He got a pair swinging between his legs just like everybody else, and ain't no muscle around them. And that's the first thing a woman's supposed to reach for when she's fighting. She ain't supposed to slap nobody. She's supposed to stake him up here and get him down there, because that makes a baby out of him. Squeeze them boys, damn, the Jolly Green Giant will drop to his knees. You need to know that you belong here, that the body you're in is yours, invested in you by the universe, to get something from it. And what you're to get from it is G-O-D. And nobody has the right to take that away from you, including Jesus. He ain't got that right. Okay, let's go on here. The other element is air. Probably the major key, because without about 31 point something seconds of this here stuff here, you're through, buddy. So some can hold their breath a minute, but you ain't gonna last long without this. Air. If I can make you breathe hard and heavy, I can make you loosen and lose your mind, because the breath and the imagination and the energy are interlaced. What makes the brain, the imagination race is the breathing. And the mind gets busy, gets pumping, you see. Control your breathing and you can control your mind. Control your breathing and your mind, you can control your imagination. Control those three and you've mastered your mind. Lose control of either one of them and you're through. You've been mastered by someone else or something else. I recall something my wife said to me coming out of Howard Johnson's restaurant. And I remembered it so vividly, it hurt my head and back of my head and my spine, and I was sitting in the chair. That happened 10, 12 years ago. And she wasn't even there. Just a thought, the wrong thought. That all of my emotions, imagination, and breath was tied in to this one idea. Yeah? That'll poison you to death. So the idea of forgiving lets you tear away the glue, the emotions, the air, which is filled with prana, energy, because that's what's in the air we breathe that keeps us alive, so that the thought moves in mind with no force. That's a meditative technique for ridding oneself of angry thoughts and unforgivable thoughts, so we think. It does you better than it does the person you're forgiving. Okay? The breath length can determine the power that you possess. As we practice wazifa, one can get a sense of how powerful one's breath is, and we're going to use a couple of techniques. For instance, the Tao tells you how powerful your breath is, particularly when you close your ear if you want to test that. But you can feel the energy of the breath when you use such a technique, or Om will do the same thing, or Amen. When you move your breath through your mouth, you move it throughout the entire body because it's all interlaced. It is one sheath of breath moving throughout the body. The lungs are not the only part of you that breathes. Every organ in your body breathes, including your skin breathes. There was an article in the paper a couple of weeks ago where they painted this little girl golden for some photographs and left the paint on her and forgot she was back in the, and her body suffocated to death. And covered up all the pores on her body. Yeah. The breath of life. Those are the four elements that you're dealing with every day. You are to remain, gain control of, and keep control of. The rhythm of your breathing determines the level of self-control. Okay, that's master the ability to direct your energies, to utilize your energies, your thought processes, your spoken word. We're talking energy here. Your imagination, your mental images. We're talking energy here. Because you think, speak, and imagine with energy. That's what you etch your desire with on the screen of universal mind. It's with energy. You're already an energy being, but you have to educare, draw out that which is within. Come on and sit down, brother. You make me nervous standing up there. You look like the police. Come on here and sit down. We think with energy. We imagine with energy. We speak with energy. And your thoughts do as you tell them to do. Your good thoughts and your bad thoughts. Understand the nature of nature. It is not good or bad. It is. Your intent is good or bad. You see? Bad thoughts do not help you. Angry, evil, vindictive thoughts do not help you. Now, as easy as that sounds, that is not easy. And probably before you get from here to your bedroom, somebody is going to test your character even tonight. You know? And the interesting thing, it's not some stranger. It's usually the people in your world. And the most immediate people in each one of our worlds is in our mind. Each one of us has a nation of people in our consciousness. Something somebody said, did. And we only have to recall it to get mad. It don't take much if you're not in a habit of checking your thoughts. The ability to create on the screen of mind that which you so desire, not what McDonald's so desire you would have, or Burger King, or Calvin and Klein, But what you so desire is a part of mastery. And at some point you have to be able to sort out your desires versus commercial desires. I tried to get through a shopping center with about $10 or $15. I just learned this idea of how heavily we're programmed and subliminally seduced. And I was going to walk through the Severance Shopping Center in Cleveland and not spend anything. I didn't get halfway through it. And I had the intention of doing it. But there were so many things I needed. And of course, months later, I realized there wasn't anything going through my head that I needed. Not one thing. I didn't need any cigarettes. I didn't need any chewing gum. You know. Yeah. And they structure those malls so you spend money. You know, that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. That's not a cycle, that's a circle. Yeah. So you keep spending your money. And when you die, your children will keep spending their money and your money. That's the cultural condition we have. But when you step out of it, you can see it going around. Some days, sit down downtown somewhere and watch people. And you can see the confusion. Most people don't know where they're going. You watch them walk up half the block and stop and go. You know, I've done it. It's amazing. You know, something else is moving them, like a hockey puck on an ice floor. They don't know what they're doing. Then they remember something. Oh, yeah. You know, let me go in and get this so-and-so. Something they heard, seen, or was subliminally seduced to on television to go buy. You know? Self-mastery and the ability to control, direct one's life, to make decisions. This includes the power of your will center. To be able to say no is willpower, as well as to say yes. You see? I can't help myself, brother. I've been smoking and crack so long, I can't help. You know, what he means is he don't want to hurt. Yeah. He still has willpower, but his will has been seduced to desire the thing that makes him feel good. That's all that means. When you get cleaned up, raised up spiritually, you don't get any more willpower. You start using it. This is how you gain willpower. If you have a screen itinerary of 35 things you desire, you can't focus your will's power because it's scattered. But you already have all the willpower you shall ever have. When you get this faculty open, these faculties open up here, then you will have the will power of God. You will have God's will. That's how you do God's will. But it's got to be awake. Desire, attraction, and will are same thing. One and the same thing. We operate the law of attraction with the desired nature of our chemistry, our thinking, and our intent. It is still willpower. What is coded on this law is desire. The love of money is the root of all evil. Reverend Biscuit told you that, didn't he? Oh, I know he did. This is the root of all evil. The lust of is the root of all evil. The only thing that sets you free on this planet is love. Sets you free. Lust makes you a slave to your glands, thereby the victim of something you desire. The lust of money, for money, is the root of all evil. And sometimes that ain't too bad if you really want some. You got to have a little lust in this world. It's called ambition in the secular realm. But not to be overcome by lust. Again, it makes you a slave. Okay. Nobility. The character to be honest. The character to be truthful. The character to be trustworthy. The character to follow your own God-given guidance is how you obtain nobility. The character. And that all operates by, again, one important word, by your will. That you're willing to be honest, willing to be trustworthy, willing to love, willing to forgive, willing to be helpful, willing to be strong. See? Take your orders from headquarters is how you get it done. Your own head. Putting on the mind of Christ is putting on the God mind inside your own brain, cerebral, nervous, sympathetic system. Okay, so that is what brings you to the station of master able and noble. And that in turn gives you the aura of prestige, the aura of honor. You already have it in your nature. It is a part of your godhoodedness. Honor, majesty, divinity. You already have it. Educare, draw out that which is within. Now, let's talk about what gets in the way as we move towards M.A.N. and G.O.D., the 12 major fears. These came out of the book titled Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, except the last one. He didn't deal with that one. The first one that's considered here is the fear of the loss of one's love, because most people are virtually bombarded with finding love, a loved one, and with being loved. Most people are not bombarded with the intent of loving, but being loved. I want somebody to love me. It's all I ask. Well, again, if I say to a woman, I love you, that's all I'm responsible for. I'm not responsible as to whether she loves me in return. She is, not me. Loving is what gives you access to the power of love. It is wholly an act of will. Your willingness to love draws out the power of love. See? Then if she intends to love you, don't say to your woman, I love you, baby. Do you love me? Because that's the pimp's thing. He said, no, I love you. And you say you love me. Well, get on out there and get it if you love me. It's very good psychology for a fifth grader driving a Cadillac in 12 suits, 2 pairs of Stacey Adams. But he's going the wrong way, of course. We know that. I beat your ass because I love you. You mine. No, that ain't no love there at all. But it can be psychologically reassuring for someone who is ignorant of what and who they are and has a desire, again, to be loved. Some people just like to hear it. Just tell me you love me. Lie to me and tell me. Love doesn't lie. It is a power. And if you listen carefully, your soul will tell you that it loves you. It will just say it. It's the sweetest words you want to hear, particularly when you're hurt or sad. You know, and a lot of times we like them little pity parties. You know, ain't nobody killing Bobby. I've been to a lot of them, and something inside says, "I love you." Good feeling, great feeling. The fear of hunger is a biochemical craving based on one's experiences of having been hungry. But this will make you fill up your refrigerator to the point where you can't get your door closed. and half the stuff in it will spoil before you get your next check. This craving is for a deeper, higher food. It is not all biochemical. When you, the soul, begins to urge upward, the push is on your glandular nature. You have to have a craving for godhood. You have to have a passion for godhood. You have to want to become God. But it starts off where you are. Cravings. That's where most of us are. Craving this and craving that. Yeah. Go down to McDonald's, eat 4 hamburgers and 2 packs of French fries and a Pepsi Cola. Wait 15 minutes and belt. Damn, you're hungry again. First of all, because there's no food in them little theatric foods. But the craving is greater than for material foods. But this one will make a good boy rob. One little kid, 14 years old, went and robbed the bank, got the money, ran out of the bank, and went to McDonald's next door. He got him 2 Big Macs and a French fry, sitting there eating French fry when the police walked in the store. I was hungry. That's what he told the police. The fear of hunger. This is a big one because it's almost phobic. And there's a listing. I didn't bring my Tabor's medical dictionary. There's a listing of almost 55 phobic fears. Unreal, illusionary fears. One of them, which I think was responsible for taking Howard Hughes off the thing. Hypochondria. And he had another fear about being poisoned or polluted. Everything seemed dirty to him. You know?
Bacteria. You gotta feel
Yes,
bacteria.
right, yeah. I think it might be Michael's problem, I ain't sure. Always wearing his little mask.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fear of failure will reduce your abilities so they become non-functional. Now this has been an imposition of this culture on the black masses. We learned how to fail in America. And our parents, who were victims, taught it to their children, who taught it to their children, who taught, it's called inferiority complex. But thanks to, I shouldn't forget his name because I remember him so well, brother who did a little book titled Why Blacks Kill Blacks. Poussaint, thank you, Alvin Poussaint. Underline the concept, the illusion of inferiority. And that's major key, that it is an illusion that you can buy from somebody in your peer group at this age, or from mama, daddy, big brother, somebody who means something. You sure is dumb. It's all it takes for a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid to hear. Somebody he likes, loves, cares about, hits him with that. Been better if he hit him with a baseball bat. That'll last a lifetime. And this posture of inferiority takes over. And they start believing down instead of believing up about themselves. Not having certain, quote, educational skills. I really wonder about that because Stevie Wonder can't see. And Dennis Rodman certainly is not the brightest man I've ever met. But they found that which clears away the illusions. Talent is the great antidote to the illusions of inferiority, to the problem of failure. It is talent, not skills. When you find your talent, you know it's you doing it, not the textbook, not the diploma, not your job status that you leave on Friday and come back Monday and lock your damn door and got your stuff sitting outside and you through as Dr. So-and-so, manager this. Supervisor that. You know. And in your, like the brother at Coca-Cola, 23 years, had 2 years to go. Man come in, chopped this stuff off. He drove through the glass door down there and went and shot 2 supervisors. You know, took his world away from him, his job. That's how he defined himself, as his job. Now, terribly misinformed. The problem of the student is very much haunted by that psychological fear. I didn't study enough, I ain't gonna be able to pass the test. You know, here's the test 3 days away. I ain't gonna be able to pass. That's him talking. That's not the teacher, that's not the book, that ain't even the devil. That's the student talking to himself, informing his brain what it will not be able to do. And then, I knew I wasn't going to be able to pass it. Okay. All they do is tell himself just the opposite. And let the answers come forward. It's almost that simple. Except we learn how to fail. We program our brain, or allow our brain to be programmed to fail. If you think you're ugly, you know you can't have any great rewards for being ugly. You know? But that gets back here. That's a failure syndrome. See? Ain't no ugly God. Yeah. You're required to think well of yourself Monday through Sunday. You're required to do that. Nobody else but you. See? Criticism, another biggie. And this one, I think, haunts women as much, if not more, than men, because they got to get in front of the mirror and get it right. Yeah. 1 hour, 2 hours. You know. Then go outside and somebody go, you know. They start looking down at their shoes. You know. The fear of criticism. Speaking up for oneself is often halted because of a fear of criticism. Walk into the office and look, I deserve that job. Not, now wait a minute. Walk up and announce and articulate yourself. Master, these are illusions. That's all these are, learned illusions. And any of these can take you off of here. Any of them. The fear of death. We get that from, someday we all gonna die, honey. Grandpa went in his sleep, but we all got to go. And this one is tied in with what? No, this one. The fear of the unknown. But if you close your eyes and meditate, you can get to the unknown before you die. So that you can overcome the fear, the illusion of death. It is only a psychology, a learned psychology. The Jehovah's Witnesses went around for years telling people, when you die, you're done. You're through. Ain't no more. Ain't no more nothing. That's pretty scary. You know? That's how they got their congregations filled up. If you don't get this, and the Catholics are even worse. If you're not Catholic, you can't go to heaven. You have to be Catholic. Oh, boy. And see, they spoke with authority. Even though they were lying out of the side of their head, they spoke with authority. You know? Now, when my brother, no, Cornelius, when the soul dies, that's it. The soul is, yeah, right, man. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. I wasn't buying none of that. The screen, the veil. I explained about the arm. When you go to sleep at night and lose consciousness, physiologically you're dead. When you wake up in the morning, you are reborn. That's the process of death. The more the spiritual exponent of divinity practices the art of dying. He and she sit in a chair, on a bench, on a pillow, focus their attention between the eyes and learn how to leave the body at will and come back in it and leave it and come back in it. And what they realize is that they are the spirit being, the soul self, not the body. This young girl told me about a mother who would lay down at night, and in the middle of the night she would get up and go to the bathroom and try to turn the knob and couldn't turn the knob. Then she would look back and see this person in her bed, and then she'd float back into her body. She did that for years without knowing that was her getting up in spirit, trying to open a door, and all she had to do was walk through it. And this was a Sunday church-going black woman every Sunday with power. See? Took her 20 years to realize she was a spirit and not a body. Here's another bad boy, loneliness. Can get to you, particularly if you got a lot of sevens in your chart. Because you'll find yourself alone. And it's not loneliness. This is the solitude state, the contemplative state, that leaves you in this particular state. That's alone. All oneness. Because it's when you're alone that you discover yourself. Not at the dance, not at the party, and not even in church. But when you're alone with your God, then your God reveals him or herself. That's what aloneness is for. Be grateful for it so that you can find some secrets. Learn, realize some mysteries. Gain some experience on the other planes of existence. Poverty. Something else black folks learned how to be poor and thank the Lord for being poor. Whew, amazing. The fear of being poor will keep you poor. I ain't got, I can't afford, I don't know where I'm going to get. That's all this illusion that we learn from mama, from daddy, from auntie, from uncle, from grandma, from grand. I ain't got no money. Changing our thinking. Understanding that mind governs matter. Understanding the law of mentalism. Everything is mental. The law governs all things, creates all things, moves all things. Changing your thinking empties you of all of this. Not some of it, all of it. Poverty is a thought. The problem of poverty as a thought, it can become a habit. Being rich is a thought. The value of being rich as a thought, it can become a habit. You want rich, good, healthy, positive mental habits. Don't say you can't afford. Don't say you ain't got. Say just the opposite. What's her name? Dolores O'Brien said, if you have to ask how much it costs, you don't deserve it no way. You know? That's prosperity consciousness thinking. You're supposed to say, I want it. That's all. And then see yourself with it. believe it and accept it. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind will achieve. That's the way the mind works. You don't have to believe that. You're doing it anyway. But most of us are doing it. I can't afford that. That's too rich for my blood. You know, and you're just taking your mental erasers. Well, I can't have that. I can't have that. I can't. That's you doing that. Draw something up on that mental board. Something that you want, not need. Want, desire, will, power, will. Here's the big one that should be down at the bottom, the fear of pain. Kwame Nkrumah, the first time I read that particular maxiom, said, I can't remember exactly how that went. The one great thing that a man must do to become free is to overcome the fear of pain. Now, this sounds terribly strange to say this. Pain is an illusion. Keep in mind, all of this is in the context of thought. When you're thinking on the higher plane, the law of duality, pain and pleasure, that is not the higher plane. That's the higher plane. When you're thinking up here, this for you does not exist. Pain and pleasure, hot and cold, hard and soft, rich and poor, sick and healthy, ignorant and wise. Duality does not exist when your attention is fixed up here. Now you can know that in meditation. When you focus between the eyebrows, you forget your body. You've done it consciously in imagining yourself somewhere doing something, and you were out there doing it, and you weren't in the chair, on the bed, at the kitchen table at the time that you were doing it. For an instant, for a minute. See? And for you, there is no sensation, no pain. The first meditative experience I had, I spread out in the room. Then I spread out in the kitchen, in the front room, and it was a house. And somebody came downstairs and knocked on the side of the side door, and they were knocking on my side. You know? But there was no pain, it was just sensation. You know? But I just suddenly spread out over the house. So for me, I wasn't the body anymore. I was the whole house. You know? Yeah. Now we're talking about your spiritual consciousness, but we think on the glandular subconscious level. That's where your 12 glands are, attached to the subconscious realm, and that's where we experience this duality, pain and pleasure, the wheel of birth and death. Be ye perfect is up here. That's what you're supposed to experience in meditation. The state of perfection, where there's no duality. One state. There's a place in consciousness where there is no sensation. There's a place in consciousness where you know you do not exist while you exist. You just suddenly get there, and you know you're gone. No sensation, no love, no joy, no peace, no happiness. You're just not there. And you know you're not there. Don't ask me what that means. It's an experience, not an intellectual discussion. Pain allows you to overcome the fear of death. It is not death that we feared. If it were, we would not go to sleep. What we fear the most is pain. Our greatest fear. Because it kills us, because it hurts us. This is my little entrance here. The fear of being black. And we still got black folks are phobic about being black. 1966, in Jet magazine, an article was written about they were calling them black art conferences then, of a Dr. so-and-so, I can't remember the brother's name, at one of the black colleges, attended this conference, and the brothers were talking their stuff. You know, they was talking black is beautiful, black power. You know, some brothers could be scary, man. And evidently they really disturbed this brother. And he jumped up and ran out of the room and grabbing his head says, "I'm not black, I'm not black." And ran out of the room. You know, this was not a student. That was a college professor with a doctorate's degree. Yeah. Yeah. That was learned. And we're still unlearning it. We still have children who cower at the idea of being black or called black. It still hurts. Yeah. Turn your psychology toward the positive. It really is good to be black. The melanin substance, the melanin literature tells you that. A deathless substance is in your blood. Well, at least we know it lasts 4,000 years, at least. Sheikh Ahmad did his melanin tests on one of the mummies. He found melanin still in the venous bloodline of one of the mummies. Been there 4,000 years. That's a nice little shot at life, huh? But again, the illusion of what you're doing is peeling back illusions. We're trying to get behind the curtains of the Holy of Holies, where the truth is, where reality is. The reality is your invisible being, indestructible, all-knowing, all-powerful. What you're trying to do is to become all-present as you expand. This is the first atom. This is the second atom growing up. That's what you're doing, is expanding throughout the universe. Why Jesus is the Son of God. The Son of God. Your soul unfolds likened unto that of the sun. The yogis say you're about as big as the tip of your thumb before you start your practice of meditation. And you just simply keep on expanding, expanding, expanding. So when you become the Son of God, you become the Son. Okay. The fear of the devil takes most black folks back to church on Sunday. That's who they're scared of. They're scared of the devil. And that's what gets them to church, particularly after they've been to the joint Friday and Saturday night, spend half the paycheck, acted a fool, start feeling guilty. Devolution. Devil. Devolve. And I just looked at the Coupe de Ville. Damn. Is the devil. Deville, same concept. Involution, that which is involved must turn. Revolution, revolve. that which revolves must devolve, and that which devolves must evolve. Whatever pulls you down from your Father, the kingdom of heaven, is the devil. Now, that does not mean that this principle is not embodied. There are those out there who've embodied the principle of the devolver. And don't care what color you are, their work is to get you. That's what they do. Take you off. That's what they do. That's the dark side, the dark energy. That's not the primal essence, Semu, from which out of the darkness cometh the light. That's the low energy. If you have high energy, you have low energy. If you have a high God, you have a low God. Spelled D-O-G, of course. So you have an opposition on the plane of duality. Where there's good, there's evil. Where there's sickness, there's health. Where there's riches, there's poverty. That's duality. Fear of the unknown. You change the fear of the unknown by claiming that you know it. That's what you're doing in obtaining self-knowledge. By coming to know who you are, what you are, and where you are, you erase not only the fear, but the factor of that which is unknown. As your inner teacher begins to explain to you your truth, it is a spiritual process, a spiritual happening. Knowledge erases ignorance. And one that it doesn't seem to bother too much. A fear that we would all prosper by if most of or many of our children, particularly, and our brothers and sisters had, if they had the fear of being ignorant. But no one seems to have much of that. To think about the idea of dying ignorant. Came here, lived here, and died the same. Imam Amir Baraka's poem. Just think about that. Come here and stay 50